pressing on him to stand and say horse and buggy. 2 words, horse and buggy.
3 words. Horse and buggy.
Whatever. I'm glad you're a college graduate. Horse and buggy. And he kept pressing Brother Dennis to say horse and buggy. And it come on one night and they was having a good service, and then all of a sudden it went cold. And Brother Tim, nobody could do anything. Everybody's sitting there sad faced. And finally he gave it up, Keith, and he stood up. And he said, I don't know why I've got to say this, but horse and buggy. And about that time, this lost man that had attended all week stood up from the back of the house and made a beeline for the altar. And he hit the altar. And he had been asking for a sign. Lord, if you're truly messing with me, if you're truly urging me to go to the altar, give me a sign. And one of his convictions was, as a child, as a young man, he had stolen a horse and buggy.
Yep.
And when he heard horse and buggy, he knew that God was telling him to go. Today we may think it's crazy, and it may be crazy, but we got to be willing. I told some of them the other night, I said, I know my box of crayons has different colors than most people. I know I'm different. I know I'm strange a lot of times. But Keith, we have to be willing. So often we let pride and rebellion hold us back. We each one have things in our life that we're prideful or we're rebellious. I know for Dennis and Tim, it's probably their hair. That's your rebellion. And that's what we're going to preach about today, is long hair. I can't be careful. This is what I was going to say. You may think I'm crazy, but I got to preach about long hair today. So let's turn over to 2 Samuel chapter 18. Just pray for me. I said last week that I had this message, but I preached another one. And when I got to revival, Waylon Lyons came to me, and he said, I went to church this morning and I preached on Absalom and his mule. And he said, when I got home, I watched the video, and you said that's what message you had until God changed it. So we both had about the same message last week, and I'm sure his delivery is a lot better than mine. But the Lord has gave it to me. So we'll start. And if you know the story, and we've had it in Sunday school the last few weeks, if you was here, that we know that Absalom, he was raising a rebellion against King David. This was at the battle. Absalom had killed his brother. Absalom, and you get to thinking at that point, well, he's a pretty good guy. This brother is the one that molested his sister. And Absalom killed him. But what Absalom was doing was getting rid of the succession to the throne so he would be closer to the top. Absalom raised an army. Absalom raised a rebellion against David. And we'll start here at verse 18, or verse 9, sorry. In verse 9, and Absalom met the servants of David, and Absalom rode upon a mule, and the mule went under the thick boughs of a great oak, and his head caught hold of the oak. And he was taken up between the heaven and the earth, and the mule that was under him went away. And a certain man saw it, of Joab. And he said, Behold, I saw Absalom hanged in an oak. And Joab said unto the man that told him, Behold, thou sawest him, and why didst thou not smite him there to the ground? I would have given thee 10 shekels of silver and a girdle. And this man told Joab, well, he was the son of the king. I couldn't have done it if you give me 1,000 shekels. And he went on, and Joab took some men, and they went back and shot him with 3 darts, if you read on. And the men surrounded him and slew him, hanging there in that tree by his long hair. And you think, why is this such a big deal? If you read biblically, long hair, like Samson had, that was a sign of a Nazarite vow. Many called Christ a Nazarite. He wasn't. He was a Nazarene, which is where he was from, in Nazareth. But a Nazarite vow, they did not drink fruit of the vine. They did not touch anything dead. And long hair was a shame. So it was their shame, to show their shame, they wore long hair. They was the only ones biblically to wear long hair.
Yep.
Today, so you see these pictures of Christ hanging in the church house wall with long hair, more than likely that's incorrect.
Yep.
When you see the Caucasian guy with long hair, it's definitely incorrect. Because more than likely he was a man of olive skin. He was a darker complected feller. He wouldn't sunburn like you and I did, Leonard. Today, we see Absalom's hair as rebellion. You say, well, what about the mule? King David is the only one really spoken of much in the Bible to have mules. And his mules were his pride. The king's mule was a big deal. He had personal mules. And we're talking, we know this is King David and the brother of Solomon. They had great stables. They had thousands of chariots. They had beautiful stallions. But instead, he took his father's mule, the sign of the king of the throne of David, the mule. And hey, you know, there's many things that I would rather ride than a mule. David may have had little Newton County in him. There's a mule culture in Newton County. You've got men that would rather have a mule than the best thoroughbred in the world. There's a man going into battle often needs a sure-footed animal. David was a warrior. He needed something he could trust. That's the reason you see me driving a big, heavy truck, because damn, I need something that can do the labor that I need.
Yep.
And these mules was trained. These mules were excellent animals. They had breeding. I'm sure they was papered. I'm sure that they looked a certain way.
Yep.
And when somebody seen, it's just like me having Sparks Electric on the truck with my phone number on it, Tim. When somebody sees that truck, they know it's Dale. They know it's mine. When somebody seen Absalom on this mule in his rebellion, leading a rebellion, they knew that that was David's mule. They knew that he was trying to overthrow his father. He was trying to take a shortcut to the crown. The only one above him that I could find was Solomon. He didn't want to wait. Today, many of us don't want to wait on God
Yep.
for what we feel like we deserve, so we start trying to take shortcuts, Leonard. And when we start taking shortcuts, we mess up. The reason I always tell you is never get in a big hurry changing stuff around the church. Because when you go taking shortcuts, when you stop going through the process that God intended, you mess up. Seen it before. Feelings get hurt.
Yep.
But when you don't change when God's telling you to, you mess up again. Today we must be willing to change when God says, but willing to wait upon God to instruct
Yep.
us as well. Well, let's get back to this hair. In the late 50s, early 60s, in our country, the long hair trend started.
Yep.
Why? As rebellion to the church. Some reason, in the 60s, we started trying to live just as trashy as we could to prove that we was independent of the church. And the trend continues today. You read what the Word of God says about hair. Here we go. We'll jump in at both feet. 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 14. Does not even nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame to him? I won't go on. But if a woman have long hair, it is a glory to her, and her hair is given to her for a cover. But if any man to seem contentious, we also have no such custom, with neither the churches of God. So now I declare to you that I praise you not, that ye come together, not for better, but for the worse. First of all, when ye come together in the church, I hear that there are divisions among you, and I partly believe it. And this is Paul writing to Corinth. He had to write letters to Corinth multiple occasions, trying to get them lined out, trying to get them back on the path that Christ intended. But today, we read here that it's okay to have hair of different length according to the custom of the church. You know, Mama, me and Carla growl about her hair all the time. I love long hair. I do, Family, I love long hair. Sister's hair, when it's long, it just lays on her shoulders and it's got a natural wave to it, and there's nothing more beautiful. But Carla's hair is thick, and it gives her headaches. So about every couple of months, she says, I just need to trim my hair, I need to cut my hair. I start growling, and she growls back and forth, and we go through it. But I don't believe that Carla is trimming her hair in rebellion to me. As well, today, we need to examine ourselves. Do we have long hair as a rebellion to the church? Are we cutting our hair as rebellion to the church? We have to examine what we're doing. Are we wearing slacks to church in rebellion because the old timers didn't? Are we wearing a hat in as rebellion to the customs of the church? We must examine ourselves. Are we being rebellious? Today, many people, we see the long hair as rebellion. Many people treat the long hair as rebellion. Today, we've gotten into a trend of coloring our hair. And Leonard, I'm not talking about putting a little black back into white. I'm not talking about trying to cover up age. I'm talking about just a few months ago, they have a sinful month that they call Pride Month. I actually seen a hairstylist in Harrison saying she would give a discount for anyone wanting pride colors in their hair.
Yep.
Pride colors. Where they're taking the colors that God has given us as a promise, and they're taking these colors and using them as a symbol of sin, using them as a symbol of abomination, and they're wearing them with pride. Where are we going with all this, say? The condition of our heart.
Yep.
Where is our heart, Leonard? Are we doing it in rebellion? There's many things we can do in rebellion at the church with pride, that we take the wrong kind of pride in. Stuff that you wouldn't normally be a sin. But if we do it with the wrong heart.
Yep.
You read over in 1 John. Two. 1 John chapter 2, verse 16. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but it's of the world. The pride of life. Today, Leonard, we can go wrong. Why are we doing what we're doing? Why are we doing things the way that we do them? We have to examine. Have to examine our heart. I've done stuff in rebellion. I was one of the most rebellious people that you ever find. Leonard, I was. But today you find that if you go biblically, a rebellious person can't be a leader in the church.
Yep.
A rebellious person can't be an elder in the church. A rebellious person causes strife, causes downfall. Where are we? What are we? Got to examine ourselves. Think about our decisions. Carla's giving me a hard time about my grizzly appearance. Diane don't like it either. I had on, well, I guess I got a red shirt on today. Had a little lady tell me the other day I had on a blue tie and a red shirt. She said, "You're very patriotic." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, red, white, and blue, and pointed to my tie. Today, that was Destiny, by the way. I'll tell you her name. She's always got something for me. She brings a smile to me every time I see that child, or that young lady. But today, we must know, examine our actions, examine our thoughts. Are we doing it in rebellion? I've seen it in churches. I've seen it in my own family. I've seen it in my own house. Me and Carla get fussing about something. I'll do it just to show her that I can. I'm a grown man. Huh? Yeah, Jim's laughing, but Jim's have done the same thing. That's the reason you're laughing. She said I couldn't go fishing. You watch this. I'll go. And I'll stay gone. An hour passed when she said to come home. Just to prove that I'm the man, Leonard. That Stanley ain't laughing, but Diane knows he done the same thing.
No fish.
Most men don't think about things like that. But I have done that. Well, the reason Carla had asked me not to go that particular time when she wouldn't say anything, there may have been something that she had already mentioned that we needed to do and I had forgotten. Why did she need me in at a certain time? Well, because so we could have supper and get the kids in bed at a reasonable hour. It wouldn't mess up their routine. There was a long time of my life where I worked away from home and our home was unbalanced because I was absent. And Brother Keith, she had a routine with the children because I wasn't there. I'd be gone for days, sometimes weeks at a time. And she had a routine that she had to do because she had to take my role because I was gone. Well, I come in, Brother Keith, I was the man. And she had order, she had things said about so that she could manage it when I was gone. And all I did was mess that up. Out of rebellion, out of pride. Today, we know that Absalom here, David mourned over his son. David loved him. As he did all his children, I believe. But today, if we do things with the wrong reason, we do it for ourselves, Keith, for our own pride, for our own vanity, it can become wrong. I've never had long hair. Never could stand it touching my collar. I've said many times I was going to grow it long. When I was younger, Carla wanted me to. She said so she could run her fingers through the curls. But I never could stand it. At one point in my Christian walk, I had a preacher tell me I didn't need to grow any facial hair because the world did. So the next week I had a goatee. I did, as a Christian. And that's when I started wearing a goatee full time, Jim. But you know what? I was in the wrong for my reasoning. was. I did it just to rub him wrong. Because I was a man. He's a grown man, and there he was telling me. There was even deacons in the church that had facial hair. But he told me I shouldn't. The next week I was sporting a brand new goatee. So that's, we gotta lay it all out there. I've never held back. Today, what are we doing and why are we doing it? Yeah. Absalom was in line for the throne. Even if he never got the throne, he had stature. Stature ain't the right word. He was placed in society to be above everyone else anyway. Yeah. His children would have had inheritance. Solomon was going to be the wisest, the richest man that ever lived. He was his next in line. He was his brother. He would have had placement in society. He would have been revered. But because of his own pride, because of his rebellion, he wanted it right then, and he wanted it his way. That's not how God works. He was astraddle of the king's or the king's mule. He had the key to the kingdom. I'm sure he looked somewhat like David. David had a thing for beautiful women. And I'm sure genetically he was a handsome man. Everywhere you read, David picked a pretty one, didn't he? Mm-hmm. He had it all. Today he was a straddle of the kingdom. He was riding the kingdom. But his pride, rebellion, tangled him up.
Yep.
His pride and rebellion caused his death.
Yeah, it did.
Today, our pride and rebellion, Brother Tim, can be our downfall. I've been there. I'm telling you, from experience. Leonard, did you ever have long hair?
Yeah, a little bit, but
Yeah.
I didn't get it off.
A little bit. Dennis, did you ever have an afro, big long hair? I could see you in a convertible back in the 70s, your big afro, blowing in it, such a follette hugged up to your arm. I could see that. Big old goofy smile.
Tim did, didn't he?
Do you have an afro? You have long hair. Stanley, did you ever have long hair? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Diane, did you ever have any facial hair? Did you ever grow a mustache or beard? He did. Did you do it just because she told you you couldn't?
He's a bit wrong.
Huh?
He's a bit wrong when he started wearing.
She couldn't reach him to cut it off. Dad told me if he ever caught me with long hair, he'd set it on fire while I was asleep. I'm surprised I didn't grow with long hair just to prove him wrong. Today we must be careful. We must think of why we do what we do.
Yeah.
Is it for pride? Is it out of rebellion? I had a visit with a lady one time. We was going to a church that it's customary for a woman to wear a dress. And you ladies, I hope you all know that I don't look down on skirt or pants or slacks as long as they're
Decent.
conservative, let's put it that way. I don't think you need to be up there in your hoochie mama leopard print spandex. But conservative slacks or even blue jeans is more than acceptable. I would rather have you in that than a skirt that showed everything you had.
Yep.
But today, this lady insisted on wearing pants. It was the custom of this church that everyone wore skirts, dresses. And it come to the point that I realized, Tim, that her want to wear pants wasn't out of necessity.
Yeah.
The more I visited with her, I've learned that it was out of pride and out of rebellion.
Yeah.
And at that point, something that wasn't wrong became wrong.
Yeah.
And finally, how I explained it to her, I said, well, when I'm not working, or not at church, I wear a cap. And if I'm around the house, I've got a big floppy cowboy hat, or now I've got a camouflage hat that Carla hates, the cowboy style. And, I said, what would you think if I come to your church and out of rebellion wore my hat and sat on the front seat and refused to take it off? She said, oh, that'd be wrong. I said, is there anything wrong with wearing a hat? No. It's just wrong to wear it at the church house. So you better think about that. Today, why do we do what we do?
Yeah.
Are we doing it out of rebellion? Well, Absalom, it brought death upon him. Our pride can bring spiritual death.
Yes.
Our rebellion can bring spiritual death. And that's the reason when you're told to sing a song and you're worried about squeaking, it would have been easier for you to sit back and say, no, I ain't got no voice.
Why are you pointing at me?
I noticed that.
Or you can sit back, or you can get up and come and sing. Because God, say, well, you've noticed I quit singing because my voice won't last.
I've sang for you all week.
She sang all week, she really has. But tonight, why do we do what we do? We're all Christians here, I have confidence in each one. So today gets to be a teaching day instead of a day of a redemption message. Today, we have to examine. Leonard, I know you got a wild side. You just chuckle when I say something to you and say, I hear you.
That was pretty good.
Did I get it? I didn't
It
get
was
quite
pretty
high.
close.
I hear you. But I know that each one of us, ladies, don't think that guns are getting away without getting into this. How many times does your rebellion come in play? Carla had Obey taken out of our wedding vows.
I did.
She did.
I wasn't a Christian then, but I probably still would have.
That was before Christ. But she would not say in our vows to get married to obey. I'm a little rebellious. But back then, she'd tell you what she thought without taking the marble out of her mouth. She's changed.
Yeah, I don't smoke no more.
Yeah, you don't smoke. Sister Andrea, do you ever have rebellious thoughts towards him? When he's dead set on something? Yeah. She's nodding very slowly. She don't want to admit it. She don't want him, she wants to say yes, but not him see it. But I'm gonna call her out.
Oh, he knows.
Shirley, you have been married longer than anyone else in the room. Do you still have rebellious thoughts? Yes. Joey, see, I told you. Today, it is our nature.
I ride motorcycles, dude.
God made us from the dust of the earth. He formed man from the dust of the earth. Then he took a rib from man and made woman. Had the original man and woman messed up. And he cursed the earth. We're cursed from birth with a rebellious, sinful nature. From birth. We tell you it all the time, you don't have to teach a child to be sassy or to lie. You mean, I've seen children where their first words were no.
Yeah.
Was. You do this. No. Melody was about that. Today we have to think about that. That's our nature. Oftentimes our first thoughts are the worst ones to act on. They are. I'm sure Absalom's first thought was, if I'm gonna be king, I've gotta do something about it.
Yep.
I've gotta take action. Take the bull by the horn. Often our first thoughts is the wrong. I can say me. Often my first thoughts are the wrong. The reason I got to where Tim, I back up and chew on things a while before I say anything. I can see it in Lane, he's still youthful. Still got a little more fire than I do. And I can see me 30 years ago, the way Lane acts now. I can,
Yeah.
or 20 years ago.
Yeah.
25 years ago at least. I can see that. But Lane has Christ.
Yeah.
So Lane is more reserved. Where Lane will get mad and stomp off and pout for 2 days, I wouldn't hit you in the nose. Today, we allow God to come in, Leonard. He'll help with that sinful, fleshly nature. Keith, if we'll take our first thoughts to God and ask God, is this what you would like me to do? We'll have a more harmonious outcome. Oftentimes, when I say something quickly, I say it wrong. Ask Sister Carla. Many times, whenever hens know me, I sound rough and gruff and hateful. Most of the time, I don't mean it to come out that way. But when I'm tired and Carla wants to talk, then sometimes I get grouchy. I told her one time when Melody was little, and I regret it now, she taught me the error of my ways. When I came in, Brother Keith, within 15 minutes, I knew how many diapers she had changed, I knew who she talked on the phone with, I knew what happened on the soap operas. Within 15 minutes, I knew it all. She was just an explosion of conversation. She hadn't talked to an adult all day, in person. Well, Brother Keith, I told her one day, I come in, I had a hard day. I no doubt was frustrated with somebody else. But one day I came in, and Brother Joe, the explosion hit me of conversation. I just needed to decompress. And I hurriedly told her, from now on, don't you talk to me until I've been home 30 minutes. That's what I told my young wife, staying home with a child. From now on, don't talk to me until I've been home 30 minutes. Well, I know most of you men was boys, whether you want to admit it or not at one time. Do you ever light a firecracker and stick it in the mud next to the pond? And when it goes off, stuff goes everywhere. That's kind of what happened when I said that. And Tim, it didn't take me long to see my mistake. That I should have just kept my mouth shut. I should have thought about it a little while before I said anything. I could have said the same thing much gentler at a later time.
I think it was when I quit greeting you at the door too.
That's probably when she quit sitting beside me in the truck.
Probably is.
I heard a story this week that some of us was talking about that. About sitting beside each other in the truck. And Donnie and Loretta Blind was talking about it. She said, honey, we don't sit beside each other anymore. And he said, I hadn't moved. He was still in the driver's seat. Yeah, it wasn't most, my truck don't. You can raise the armrest up, she can sit beside me. She says, getting in my truck, you need a tetanus shot before you get in it. So she don't even like riding in my truck. It's not made for comfort. But today, as men in our marriage, as ladies in our marriage, as leaders in the church, as laymen in the church, let's move without rebellion or without pride. I pick on these guys that ain't got no hair a lot. And Elijah called out Shebared and killed, was it 40 people, 40 young men was making fun of him for being bald? I got a chance a couple years ago to go through my grandfather's Bible. And he had that place marked and circled. And had notes taken on that. And he was a man with little hair toward his death. But today, if we take so much pride and have so much arrogance, so much rebellion in our life, in things like hair, like dress, many things, Brother Keith. I have seen people drink a beer out of rebellion to the church. Church, preacher said I couldn't do this, watch this. And I've seen people continue many sinful things in rebellion.
Yeah.
Today, we must check ourselves. We must examine ourselves. Why? Oh, why? Because our rebellion sets an example for the one that's looking up to us. And whether we admit it or not, every single person in this room has someone looking to them. And I am the world's worst to try to be independent, to try to rush God. So today, I beg of you, remember Absalom's hair. Are we doing it out of rebellion? Just think about it. Today, I know, like I said earlier, I have confidence in each and every one here, but I don't know anyone's heart. Today, if you have something on your heart, you can bring before the Lord. The altar has been open since they opened the doors this morning. But we'll give a formal invitation.
We read of a beautiful heaven.